Welcome back to another episode of the Good Enough Gaming Podcast. As always, I am joined by Jordan, Trevor, and Daryl. They are not one-hit wonders. Oh, Jordan's got the original 4. I got the Ailstorm.
I love that shirt, Kyle. So good.
I fucking love this shirt so much. Anyways.
Dale's got PlayStation. I got jack shit.
I got a rock.
I got a rock.
Today's episode is entitled, What the Fail Was That? There have been a ton of games over the last decade that have failed out after big marketing pushes and years of work and development from teams at AAA and quadruple A studios. We would be remiss. I think remiss is Daryl's favorite word. If we didn't take a stab at figuring out why this happened and why some of these titles have failed in the hands of gamers or lack thereof. So join us as we attempt to navigate these murky waters and try to sort out why these games failed so epically. Oh boy, fail. There's been some big ones. Like Daryl kind of gave us a bit of a preamble of some of the ones that we could potentially talk about. There's a lot for.
There's also stuff that I completely forgot about that I looked up when I was researching
so
for
bad.
this episode. And I was like, oh wow, yeah, like this is an extensive list.
Now
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Do you know what I had put out of my mind until I read the list again? Skull and Bones.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just added that one today. So
Kyle just completely fried. He Men in Blacked that out of his mind.
Yeah, it was gone. I didn't even think about it anymore because all I remember was playing 20 minutes of the beta and being like, nope, this is bad.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
It's quadruple A, Kyle.
It's
like going to fine dining. Maybe your palate just isn't refined enough for
Jesus
quadruple
Christ.
A game.
You gotta bite that lemon before you get in there and taste the new thing.
The palate cleanse.
Yeah.
And
smell this cup of coffee first.
There was so much hype around it, and then the beta came out, and everyone's just like, "Oh, no."
Ubisoft needs to stop talking about their games before they come out. Just
undersell,
don't hype it up.
over-deliver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The fucking quadruple A comment. Like, what are you? What are you doing? What are you talking?
And look
about?
at them now.
They're falling apart.
Especially that. And then you look at something like Concord, like you get these games where I understand if you're trying to build an epic game, you don't do it in a year.
No.
But when a game takes 10 years, goes through multiple developers, has crashed and burned a couple times, just like, don't come back saying, be like, hey guys, we might have made the best game ever made ever. And like really swing the other direction and be like, okay, clearly.
I appreciate the indie devs that give you one update a year, and it's like, here's maybe a 60-second update trailer or like a little blurb from an article, and then you never hear from them again. Like,
we're working
that's
on
a refreshing change of pace. Yeah,
we're trying really hard to get you our game. You're like, oh yay,
like, fuck,
you can do it.
I don't need every investment call to hit the headlines being like, this next AAA game's coming out and it's gonna blow your fucking socks off. I don't want to hear it.
Well, this reminds me, I don't think this is as much of a problem now as it used to be, maybe as 90s kids. Like, we grew up in the age of the most epic concept cars you have ever seen.
Yeah,
yes.
Right? This is coming up. We've got flexible stuff. There's a BMW and the paint changes colors and like all sorts of crazy shit. And then like, this is the engineering, like, what can we do? And then the marketing and accountants get their hands on it. And then they're like, here's the Toyota Matrix, right? And you're like, okay, right? Like,
sweet.
That's sort of what swing.
This is sort of what it feels like, right? Like, you get, I understand, Todd Howard, you got to come out and like, you got to bump up the numbers, right? These are amateur numbers. You got to pump those numbers up. But you can't come out and tell me that like you've created
the best
masterpiece that's gonna like make people like weep and like fall to their knees that it's so good.
Let people be the judge of that. Like a sports like a sports analogy. It's like the guy that chirps all game versus the guy that just lets his game do the talking. And it's like, can we not have more video game people maybe take that adage?
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's like
the talking, man.
Exactly. It's the accessories thing. Like we all as athletes, as basketball players, know a couple like truths, like ultimate truths across basketball. The people that talk the most are generally not great, and
like to take shots to the ribs. They're soft.
And the people with the most accessories
are usually the worst.
Usually the worst.
All I was thinking in my head is the double arm sleeve, double leg sleeve kid is like the one that I'm like. It's not even part of the attire. It's like it's all put on. It's like with the headband and the like. I'm like
wristbands.
Oh my God.
And he's just fucking dog water. Like
I'm so glad you went to Sport Check with your grandmother, but like, man, can we just play the game?
I can think of 2 kids at the fucking local community gym for pickup. I can still picture 2 of them that dressed just like that, and they were so bad.
So that stands to reason that Skull and Bones was the accessories kid.
Yes,
they talked a big hype game.
As we come back around from that wonderful analogy, but come back to Skull and Bones.
I want to circle back to a positive because we talked about this last week. You get games like Wukong, where you see these incredible graphics, this huge thing, and you're like, I don't know. Turns out awesome. But like they kind of kept it to themselves, right? Whereas you get something like Concord, where I'm looking at a Blizzard Activision level graphic
cinematic
masterpiece. You're like, cool. This is a movie. This is a cool RPG game, Guardians of the Galaxy kind of thing. And they're like, it's an Overwatch reskin, and it's garbage.
It's a
right?
team-based shooter, and it's not free.
It's not free. 2, like, there's so many things these days. Like, I understand there's so many people that review bombed it because they were like, this has all the modern liberal agenda bullshit. That honestly had nothing to do, I think, with any of us here, or for the most part, any general gamer. When you're like, okay, so you're creating these characters in this immersive environment, and then it's just a match play.
Yeah, it's stupid. Like, why am I
literally
paying for this?
Overwatch reskin that you're paying for up front, and it's meant to be a money churning machine.
There's not many games that are revealed where, like, from a social aspect online, you see this and then immediately this. They revealed this at the Sony State of Play, and they started with the opening cinematic, which, to Trevor's point, looked incredible.
People were like
just flags. This is red flags for me nowadays. Yeah. I'm just like, nope.
Looks like a Guardians of the Galaxy type of theme. I was like, I'm fucking in. Like, if this plays like an Uncharted game but in space, sign me up. And then immediately after that trailer, they spent another 10 minutes on gameplay. And that was where the fucking everybody was
the air just got sucked out of. Like, I feel like we were watching that or talking about it in the group chat, and it was like, oh my god,
the collective.
This is like I would say that it almost had the equivalent of Diablo Immortal when they were like, Diablo's coming back, and everyone lost their shit. Right, because of Diablo.
But it's a mobile game.
And they're like, and it's a mobile game. And you could just hear the crowd.
No! Oh man. Like to have a collective groan online nowadays is very hard to do. And like the fact that they got the hype and then immediately it's perfection. It's hilarious to look back at it now.
So it was really funny. I went to GameStop just like a couple weeks after everything got shut down, and there was still copies at the front of the store, like on the rack. Yeah, and I just picked one up, and I looked at the guy, and I was like, can you legally still sell this? Like, this does nothing now. Like, they took the game down. Like,
it's just a disc now.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell is the point of this?
Yeah. Is this a CDRW? Can I rewrite this? for all the old people out there. The funniest part, though, is now with all of these live online events, now that we've gone to COVID and we've gotten a little bit away from E3, is you could probably go back to the feed and just watch the chat.
Yeah.
And just see everyone be like, ooh, and then everyone just be like, like just the horror.
I hate this. This looks like garbage. Why would you do this?
Yeah.
That would be really funny.
It's the Michael Scott meme of like, no.
It's I don't know. I wonder if that's the record for the because it only lasted like a week, right?
2 weeks. I think
2
weeks.
2
weeks. 2 weeks from release to closure.
Yeah,
full. Yeah, not just like hey, like full server shutdown. Like the game doesn't exist anymore. Like not just hey, we're not supporting it. We're not doing updates anymore. It's like end of life. It's like
gone.
Here it is. By the way, we lit it on fire. Like, wow, like absolute zero faith in their product.
Yeah, but like no turnaround, like no like hope for the future.
No
I
fixes,
think of
no recovery.
I think of like Cyberpunk that like had a really rough start. Like a lot of it was broken, and you know that was a game that was super hyped up, and then that like it failed early on because it just wasn't polished. It wasn't ready sort of to be out in the market. It has recovered immensely. It has like
actually
people are still playing
game.
It now. It's a good game. Like so you know, at least they fixed it, but like they didn't do that at all with Concord. There's no chance of that with Concord. So, it's done.
Guess how much it cost fully to develop and release Concord over 8 years?
Wasn't it like
it was a ton of money?
$400 million.
Whoa!
And just Sony just took a bath.
From all the reports, like they were trying to pump up Concord to be their like aside from like Astro being like the more kid friendly thing, this was supposed to be kind of their longevity franchise that they were trying to build off of. And just to have zero faith in it, to be like, hey, we're gonna try and fix it, we're gonna make it better, and just to go like, no, shut the door, you're done. Like you just spent $400 million.
The craziest, we were just talking about this on Discord today too with the whole crew. There's a Amazon series that features an episode with Concord focus.
Secret Level comes out in like in a couple weeks.
Oh my god! We're obviously, folks, we're gonna do an episode on Secret Level because
once we watch it,
they look awesome.
Yes, and we'll make special note of the Concord
looks
episode.
So good.
Yeah.
I think the only way
everyone's gonna be like, "Who the fuck are these people?
What game is this?" Yeah.
Oh, I want to play this.
I think the only way they recoup costs, and maybe this is their idea, is with Splitgate coming out. They spent it like they said they had a full year's worth of cinematics already recorded, designed, animated. So it's like, are they going to try and recoup it and turn this into an animated series?
That'd be their only hope now of making any money off of this.
I don't know.
The only other way would be to pivot. This would take much more investment. Is to pivot, take all of the assets that you have. You have all the character designs. You like we've talked about. They probably spent more time writing backstory than they did generating levels. Right? Like it was a very cut and dry. Like this is Team Fortress 2 for all the old people, or Marvel Rivals or whatever, or Overwatch or any of those like
Valorant or whatever.
Valorant, right? But to have all these character designs and to have like the depth that they wrote this stuff, like just turn it into some sort of an RPG game. Like take the characters, put them in the setting they probably deserve and would actually explain what the fuck's going on, and just make a new game. Just pretend
play it like the Guardians of the Galaxy game. If you want it to be a shooter like type of thing, like just play it that
like
way.
I said, if you turn this into a space heist Uncharted game, which is kind of what the cinematic made it feel like,
I'm in.
People would fucking eat that up. Yeah. Everybody would be excited about that.
Or even kind of like what Dragon Age did, where they've added, where it's like, hey, we're going to this place. Pick your 2 party members.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to go do this thing, right? Like mission based type thing. Be like, tell a story. I'm kind of back in.
Yeah. Sign me up.
So in speaking of heroes, there's another one we got to bring up that was again supposed to be this big epic cash cow of a game, and it fell very flat on its face.
Womp, 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 womp.
And that was Marvel's Avengers.
Oh, I thought you were going. I thought you were going the DC.
No.
This one.
No.
There's many directions we could go to.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah, me too.
Marvel's Avengers came out, and it was again, there was like hype to it. It was boasting of like all this different cast you can play, only to find out that a lot of it was behind paywalls.
Yep.
You know, microtransactions to unlock things. Bullshit.
Everyone that's listened long enough will know how we feel about that.
Yeah.
And like the gameplay was not great. At one point it came out for free on the PS Plus.
Yeah.
Just big.
It might as well have been free from the start with the amount of microtransactions
It was
on that thing.
No, for sure.
And like the gameplay was boring. It was not fun. It didn't even tell a good story. It was just sort of like follow.
Same thing. Just shitty missions.
Just follow the HUD indicator. That was it.
It was, and the biggest thing I think that people commented on that game was it was very grindy to then get
the end
items, because they kind of had, you know, like everyone had items, right? Like the Hulk would have different fists with power ups, which was cool, right? Adding RPG aspects to superheroes, awesome.
Yep.
But nothing looked different.
No, it was all.
People were like, you could put on
the
best gear versus the worst gear, and your character looks identical. And it's like, whoa, it's like,
unless you buy
what's the point at this day and age?
Skin,
like
right?
In this day and age, how can you say, like, how can you release that and be like, oh no, this is fine? Like,
yeah, it's great. It's good. Yep.
Well, and one of the other big complaints was you're taking arguably one of the most iconic teams in any type of medium, and it's a single player game. Like, there was zero co-op until you got, I think, like the end game. Some of the larger end game missions were maybe co-op, but the actual story itself was purely single player, and different missions just cycled you through to play a different character. It's like, but like, I don't want that. Like, I want to be able to have Daryl pick me up as Iron Man. He's the Hulk, and he throws me at somebody. Like, that's, you know,
fastball
like,
special.
I want a fastball special. Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's the kind of shit you want.
Can you tell we played Ultimate Alliance?
I was just saying, it sullied the name of Ultimate Alliance.
Yes.
Like, for those of us that remember how good those games were.
God, those were so good.
And that's
old ones.
One and two.
Just take that as the framework. Yeah, just take that as the framework. Make it third-person RPG.
Oh my God!
You could just remake those games identically and just make it a third-person RPG.
Like that game would sell so well. I yearn for a Ultimate Alliance.
I hope they get back to that. They've got there's the Black Panther game coming out.
Yeah,
which same thing. I've been skeptical, but I'm hoping at least with that they start to realize that maybe there's a better way to do this. And then like Spider-Man's been good, right?
Like the Insomniac games are
Insomniac,
insane. Like, they get
what they're doing. Yeah,
they tell an incredible story. The mechanics of those games are so like well thought out, and yeah.
And just hand this franchise to Insomniac, please.
Yes, well, honestly, they would do a much better job having multiple playable characters and going something grander scale than that. Give them the time. I'm sure it'd be amazing.
What makes me hopeful about the Black Panther game is the director of that is the same woman that did Uncharted 2.
Oh.
So it's like...
That was like a revolutionary game.
Yeah, like people still talk about how iconic that game was for third-person action games on the PS3, Xbox 360 gen. So
you're
if
saying
she's
there's
involved, I feel better.
Some confidence. Also, what's Naughty Dog doing these days? I mean, they got some free time, right? Like,
if it's another Last of Us something, I'll flip a table.
They're helping remaster.
What's the remaster?
Yeah, Skyrim.
It's made for the PS5 Pro.
God.
Now
show me.
Do you guys? I'll throw it back a little bit. We've been talking about mostly modern games, but
throw it back, Jordan.
Do you guys remember the game Evolve? Nice, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was sort of like a precursor to some of those like 1v4 like killer versus team sort of
like
deals,
Prey,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dead by Daylight.
Like Dead by Daylight. Like I think it was by the developer of Left 4 Dead too, wasn't it? Like I'm pretty sure
I don't know.
Left 4 Dead was
these
on
types of games, so
like I think they were on board, and then 2K, and then 2K was the publisher, and same thing. Huge amount of hype. People were super excited about it. But they were kind of shady at the beginning, and they didn't really tell you that it was a 1v4 game.
Yeah.
And then finally gameplay started to like leak out, and people were like, wait, what?
What the hell is this?
This is a multiplayer game? Like
this is like that weird recent trend, not like Joker 2, but I know they like redid Freaky Friday, not Freaky Friday, Mean Girls, and something else where people are like, wait, is this a musical?
Yeah.
And they never said anything to anybody until you paid your money in the theater and you're like, wait a second. You're like, oh, fuck, they got me.
Yeah. Like, I feel like that Evolve game was one of the first, and, maybe Kyle wants to kind of lead us that direction, but like part of the issue with the failures in the last 10 years, if you look at a long list of them, one of the biggest themes, live service. And I feel like Evolve was one of the first games that like tried to get people in on a regular basis with content. Because I remember 2K pushed the fuck out of that. Like, hey guys, if you play, this month you'll get this skin for the monster and this and that. And like that was back before live service was even a tagline.
Was being pushed as much, yeah.
2K is to blame for half of the live service bullshit.
For a lot of this stuff.
No question.
But like you have other games like that, like if you go way back, and some people won't remember this now because it has gotten better. But we have to remember the original release of Fallout 76.
Yeah.
Where they're like, we're going to make an online MMO, but instead of something like WoW or Guild Wars or Final Fantasy, where they're like, hey, there's also like ingrained story. In Fallout 76, they're like, you're the story. And that was it. Like there was like so little to do, and they expected the user base to make the game.
There were no NPCs at
it was like nothing.
Yeah.
It was pretty much like playing Rust. It was just like, hey, you're base building and people are going to attack you. And you're like, well, that's not very Fallout of you. Like, Fallout is about these like wacky stories and like the stupid shit you discover. It's not like, oh, hey, we're going to go raid this guy for his stuff. Like that's on part of the universe, but don't make it the whole game.
Yeah.
But since then, I will admit they have fixed that predominantly with adding stuff. Whether you enjoy it or not, that's another story. But
yeah, that game was that was one of the first Fallouts where leading up to it, I was actually like, oh, maybe this is the one that sells me on the franchise. This is how we get me in.
It's the worst one.
And then as soon as I heard there were no NPCs at launch, and like, yeah, you were basically just meant to find other real world players, I was like, no, I'm out. I'm good.
There's only so much online interaction you can do before people are like immediately get dickish and doing stupid shit online. It's just like there's a fine line.
Exploitation, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I only have so much patience for
I know.
for stuff like that, and if the whole game is centered around it, I'm not going to play it. Like it's just not going.
I got work tomorrow. I can't stay up defending my base. Like
exactly.
I got shit to do.
So, speaking of little patience, I think we're going to take a quick break. We're gonna, obviously I'm impatient because I always lose at this shit.
We're taking Kyle's kids to the doctor. Little patience.
Little patience.
This week it's another episode of the Fantasy Face Off. Daryl, tell them what it is. Fantasy Face Off. Fight.
Let's go. Welcome back to Fantasy Face Off, where I've pit two unsuspecting characters or groups of characters against each other from any franchise or anything I want, really. And I put them into a fight against the death in the Danger Dome, and we decide who we think would win. You have to let us know if we're right, if we're wrong, if we are super smart, or if we're the dumbest motherfuckers alive. You have to tell us. You're
always right.
So, yeah. In the theme of the like failures going on, I thought I would kind of focus on a couple fictitious characters that had their shows canceled a little early. We would remember from our childhood, so if you're not sort of in our age range, you might have like no idea what the hell I'm talking about. But
we're on our millennial bullshit right now.
Yeah. So we're pitting the skinny boys from middle school. It is Doug versus Hey Arnold.
Most like passive characters ever.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to throw something out there like Monster Rancher or something like that. Like, that's what I was expecting.
Nope. Doug and Hey Arnold.
No, this is like an actual like potential school ground fight. Like this is like...
just for preface, both of these kids would get their asses whooped by the recess kids. That's why they're not in this fight.
Yes, they're not.
It's just a
now. Is
recess is like play school kids would beat up these kids.
Now is Doug or is he Quail Man?
No, he's Doug. He's just Duggan.
Basic Doug.
I don't think that changes much.
No, it really doesn't. Guys,
he's going first. He's
going it out there.
Now, it's got to be Doug. Arnold's got a fucking football head and gets bullied by this girl named Helga with a unibrow.
That's his greatest asset.
Bill Crosby sweater vests.
Hey, you don't know the rage inside that vest. You don't know the rage inside those sweater vests.
You might not know what's being hidden in there if it's really Bill Cosby.
I just know Kyle's about to lose. Kyle is about to lose. Arnold is from the streets.
Yeah, he knows how to fuck around.
Doug is in some suburb fucking kid. Arnold lives in a high-rise apartment with the most ballin' bedroom, by the way. He's got like a glass ceiling. Like he's living in a fucking penthouse apartment downtown somewhere. Arnold's run into a crackhead on the street at least once. Doug's parents check his Halloween candy every year. Like
Doug is the John Morant of the fucking animated universe. Like the dude grew up in the suburbs but thinks he's a gangster. Get the fuck out of here.
You can't be gangster in khaki pants, bro.
No,
not in those cargo shorts.
Oh my god. Arnold is going to use that football head to his advantage. The amount of momentum off of a neck swing, he's going to fucking knock somebody out with that.
Oh my god.
I'd say Hey Arnold is pretty battle tested from the amount of bullying he's received from Helga.
So he gets his ass whipped by Helga. Helga would kick both their asses. Like,
fuck them up. Yeah.
If Helga was in this, I would have picked Helga, no doubt. God damn it.
It's got to be Arnold.
So sorry. I thought you were going to see the light on this one. I was really hopeful that you were going to go the right direction.
Thought so too. We believed in you, buddy.
No.
You heard it here, folks. Hey Arnold has come out on top over Doug. Let us know if we got it right, or if somebody wants to help defend Kyle's point of view.
Please.
Yeah.
I've never even seen Doug do like the Arthur like balled up fist. I just
no animosity in those khakis.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh man. Yeah,
all right. So, speaking of other failures, let's
Redfall.
I'm right here.
Thanks,
Sarah.
I
thought we were just naming games. Sorry.
Yeah. No, tell me about Redfall.
Oh my god! Like again, another game that got a couple previews. That got people excited. Saw sort of like the animation style, the characters, like what was being involved with like what you were capable of doing, and then the game came out and it was like, oh, that's what this is. It's super repetitive. It's awful. It's janky. And this is not going to last more than 2 hours on my system. Like,
yeah.
Game was broken as shit at launch, hardly functioned. It was touted as this big single player story campaign type game. It turned out to just be like a mission based shooter, and most of the story was like, you know, when you're playing a level and you're just like hearing radio conversation.
Oh yeah,
like that's basically all it was. On console, it was capped at 30 FPS for a fucking first person shooter. We all know how good that feels. Yeah, I mean, and it's too bad because people were hankering for a vampire game. Like, we don't get many good ones.
There was a. Do you remember the Vampire Battle Royale? Oh, what was it called?
What?
There was like a battle royale game where it was like a vampire one. I played it for a bit. Hold on.
Well, then you should know.
Yeah.
It's another one I put out of my mind.
Yeah.
It's not the Masquerade games, right? Because those are the only other vampire games I know. It's like the Bloodline Masquerade or...
Yeah, so it was Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt.
Blood Hunt.
Okay, so Jordan
He was close, yeah. Yeah.
This makes me think of a Blade game. Make a Blade game.
Oh my god, single player Blade game?
We haven't had a Blade game since the PS2. I played the fuck out of that. It was terrible, but I loved it.
That would crush. Like,
bro, we can't even get another Blade movie. What are we doing?
Now you make me sad.
Yeah, why you gotta do us like that, Daryl?
I just like, I know generally, and I think we would probably all agree on this, like as a society, I know we've gotten a little softer, but like, is critique not a thing anymore? Like at all?
That's why we're here, you guys. This is our job.
It's keeping us in business.
I went to art school. If anyone hasn't already listened or doesn't know, like, I have an art degree. No, but like you didn't just hand in projects. You had to like present them, and you would just get shit on for every decision you made. And be like, why did you do this? Why is it like this? Sometimes it's like someone playing devil's advocate, but it's just like trying to understand to make something better. But there's times people left in tears. It happened. But like,
Trevor included.
Especially
you still came back. You still finished the course.
Yeah. But like, I don't. It just feels like people are just like passing this stuff through with no. They're like, yeah, everyone will love it. Everyone loves this stuff. They're like, well, did no one look at this aside from you and your three best friends who like have done nothing but give you compliments?
The problem is that it's going through like the industry now, especially with some of these like big games that are no longer made for gamers. They're made for profit.
True.
They're getting pushed through on a corporate level without any sort of like passion or love for the game at all. It's how much money can we make off of this? The product, whatever, we'll hype it up. It's great. Everything you do, great. Will it make me money? Great. Not
it's a marketing exercise, not
exactly.
a game.
It's no longer about, it's no longer a passion project about making the best possible game. Do you think at any point in Elden Ring, in the creation of Elden Ring, they talked about, okay, how much money could we possibly make through?
Can I make this weapon a microtransaction?
Yeah. Or like, how could we make more money for ourselves from this?
Where's my $50 torrent in Elden Ring?
The horse skin.
$50 horse skin.
Yeah.
The way they made their money was by making a fucking amazing game and it going viral for being an amazing game. That's it.
I'm really hoping that we're still going to see like the continued shift of this, like in the celebration of completed good quality games. Like again, Elden Ring got a lot of love, justly so. It was a phenomenal game. Baldur's Gate got a ton of love. It was a great game. It was polished. It was finished. Like it was a complete game. Like the more that those things happen and unfold, like the more we can change the market. But it's our job as gaming consumers to stop buying the microtransaction shit, to stop buying the skins, to stop buying
pre-ordering.
Yeah, like
pre-ordering is a huge issue. Absolutely.
Just stop doing those things, and it will change, and it will get better for us. But we have to, as the consumer, put our fucking foot down finally, and like not get trapped into it. And
I feel bad for, like, obviously, you should never celebrate somebody's failures. Like when a game crashes and burns, or a studio, launches a straight booty cheeks game. Like, it's not the coders, it's not the guys on the floor level that necessarily wanted to release a shit game. No. And so it's like, those people that are getting the death threats, and people are tweeting at them and like, oh, you fucked up, you're such a piece of shit. Like, that kind of stuff bothers me, because it's like it's not them. It's not them.
It's the boardroom that has messed this up, or like somebody's made a choice to, like, again, release something too early, or like we're stuck basically on the needs of, like, well, we're hemorrhaging money, so we have to put this out, and we'll just see what we get in return, and we'll go from there, and we'll fix it on the fly, like, which seems to be happening more, like, way more.
We'll shit on Ubisoft here again. Like the fact that Ubisoft has launched a couple games that obviously have not performed well. Skull and Bones, we talked about. I would throw Star Wars Outlaws in there as well as a recent game. Those games, when you deal with investors in a boardroom, they just want you to hit sales targets and quarterly earnings. That's all they care about. And it's gotten so bad to the point where Ubisoft, the family that created the company, and I'm not going to try and even pronounce their name because it's very French, but like, that family has talked about, okay, well, can we buy Ubisoft back in-house?
Wow.
Like, can we absorb that back in-house and keep it as a private company?
Rescue it from.
We can't keep up with these deadlines.
Nope.
And that family is just as much to blame for it. The head of the fucking company has had, some serious allegations brought up against him. Like, that's a whole other conversation, but at least they're understanding, like, hey, if we have a little bit more control over release dates,
might be able to mitigate some of these things.
Like, maybe we can fix some shit. Because I agree with Daryl. Unfortunately, the industry right now is, let's hit that release date so that we make the earnings for that quarter that we need to have, and then we'll spend the next 3 to 6 months doing patches and updates,
damage control.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is now the common thing that big AAA games do. And like, I give Daryl full kudos for, he's one of the few gamers out there that's like, I'll play that game eventually. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to buy it at launch. And a lot of the time it works out in his favor, because he'll pick it up a year later. He'll pick it up a year later. The game has had a bunch of fixes. It runs way better than it did at launch.
Got it on sale.
Sale. And like, Trevor can talk about it a little bit more, but like, that's pre-orders. Stop. If you haven't heard it already a million times on the internet, stop pre-ordering stuff.
But like
everything is digital.
Point, yeah. Why do you need to? Why?
Exactly. Like, unless you are a collector. Like, if you are a collector who wants physical media, which at the end of the day, like, most discs now don't even hold your whole game. They're just they're like a CD key.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean shit unless you want the box art. Like, unless it's your most favoriteest franchise ever, just don't do it. Like, just don't.
And also, it's wasteful.
True.
Okay. Hey, the
environment.
Some of us like physical media still. Okay.
Hey, this was worth it. Damn it. Yeah. This was worth it.
Oh, you can't see my elephant.
Gotham Knights.
My Horizon elephants up here. Yeah. But yeah, like, I'm excited too, but like this isn't like a Kickstarter, right? Like buying it early isn't getting you. I mean, sometimes it gets you like a code for some gold armor, like
a couple cosmetics and stuff that doesn't really matter.
I think like realistically now, like we've talked about it with some of the people we've interviewed and stuff, like the indies, or as we now love to call it, the triple indies, which are essentially companies who have gotten big enough that they're at that point of like an old Ubisoft who's about to get bought, but they have chosen not to yet, or they haven't officially done that yet, but they're putting out fantastic games. And there's no one like hovering over them, with the accountant with the Excel sheet being like, we need numbers, it's got to release next week, or we're tax implications. It's like, no, just release a very good game that people want to play.
And I think that's where a lot of the crunch in the industry comes from too, right? Like you hear it so often with AAA games where it's like, the last year and a half was miserable. Working 80-hour weeks because we had to hit this deadline. And it's like,
that sounds awful.
Can we just call it what it is? Can we just call it overtime?
Like,
I don't know why, like calling it crunch somehow makes it feel like, oh, I just had to work like really extra hard today. Like, no, if you start telling
you
people
worked overtime.
You worked overtime.
I'm working 100 hours a week every week to get this game done. It's like, oh shit, that sucks, right? We're like, I was crunching today. It was like, so was I. I was crunching numbers. It was really tough day at work today.
Crunch when I was in the bathroom at work.
It's just like really just like minimizes.
I didn't crunch earlier.
Yeah, it just like really minimizes like what you're actually talking about. Be like, I was overworked and I was like working my ass off for like didn't see my family to make this video game. But like, dude, go home.
Like, because we all know that like working when we're tired is like super effective and helps us make an even better product.
I'm really good at my job when I'm tired.
Yeah, everybody loves a good deadline. Like that. It really motivates everybody.
But hey, I mean, pizza party.
All right, this is
we're gonna have a meeting to talk about how much the boss made in a bonus this year.
Yeah, we've gone really off track here.
I just hate the word crunch because I think it's so dumb. I just think that's the dumbest definition. Be like, because it's only video games.
Call it what it is.
You never hear crunch in any other industry ever.
100%.
Overtime.
Okay. Now, so speaking of crunching one out,
rapid fire.
Anthem. Okay, Anthem. I actually.
Well, sorry.
All I remember from Anthem is that you had cool Iron Man spacesuits and you could like, fly. But what was the point? Like, I don't even remember what the game was supposed to be.
Like
about.
It was a story-based like RPG game, but it was a live service game.
But
EA too, wasn't it?
It was EA. It was riddled with microtransactions. It had like bad navigation and like a buttload of bugs. Loot system wasn't good. And
the game was terrible.
Yes. Yeah. So it was not.
Okay.
They promised a really like huge, expansive end game, and there was nothing there. There was nothing there. But yeah, that's another game, and that was a BioWare game too, wasn't it? Like that was BioWare was the developer on that.
BioWare and EA.
That's where again, developer.
That's a match made in hell
versus.
That's a rough one.
Yeah.
Who made Forspoken?
But Square Enix.
Who knows? It's forgotten. Forspoken.
It is forgotten. That game, I think, was just bad writing. People were just like, it's just so.
It was terrible.
Maybe bad timing too.
Yeah. Not even that.
What it was.
People were actively playing it. Like I remember watching some streams and being like, "Should I buy this?" And people were just like, "I hate this main character. Like she is so poorly written that she is like frustratingly annoying."
Dude, I got the game for free. I got a free copy of Forspoken, and I made it maybe 5 hours. And that was the reason I quit. I was like, she is the most unlikable main character I've played in a very long time. Like the dialogue was fucking awful, and she was just it was like bashing your head against.
Who chose this?
Yeah,
it's awful.
Okay, Foam Stars. Did anyone play Foam Stars? Tell me about Foam Stars.
I attempted Foam Stars. It was the dumbest thing. Like for starters, it was just like mini game type stuff. But they tried to roll it into this huge story of like a battle competition thing, or like there's stuff attacking the city.
That. Yep.
But like I was like, I'm just trying to play the game. It probably
it's like
took me
Splatoon, but way worse, isn't it? Like,
yes, but it took me like 2 hours to get through like one mission because I had to go through so much. It was like JRPG'd Splatoon.
Oh God!
So I'm just like, I'm at mission 1 and I'm at 2 hours into the game. I was like, holy shit, guys! Like, get on with it. Like, it's a very basic game. There's bubbles, you shoot them. Like,
it's like waifu.
We're not learning Final Fantasy.
As soon as I saw the trailer for that game, I was like, this is gonna flop. I was like, this is gonna be bad. As soon as I saw, I was like, this is gonna be shit.
It was like playing. It's like if you were one of the monkey towers in Bloons Tower Defense. But everything moved really slow, and it was just bad. Like, it was playing like Mario Party mini games, but like the worst ones in like awful. A JRPG setting. Like, it was just, I can't tell you how bad that game was.
I'll go out on a limb and say I would have rather have had Concord than Foam Stars. Like, the fact that Foam Stars is still being supported blows my mind. How are they still making content for that game?
I don't know. Like, I don't remember if there was any actual online component, if it was just single player. So I don't know if they just kind of were like, here's the game, like, let it
have fun.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Any other big ones we missed? Oh, yeah,
I know. I was gonna bring that back to Anthem. So I played Suicide Squad.
Yeah, you did.
You beat that game, didn't you?
I beat it. So I probably put a good 35-ish, 40 hours into it.
Damn.
Brave man.
One of 7 people in the
world. So that's one of those games where you got Rocksteady, the developer that wants to just make a good game. And then you've got Warner Bros. WB. Who wants to make money. And that game, from the first day it was revealed in trailers, nobody thought it was good.
No.
Like,
shoot purple tumors.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, oh, cool. And then you got characters like King Shark, who is primarily a very melee-based character in the comics.
Yes.
And he's running
biting
around
people's heads off.
Yeah. But in this game, he's got a shotgun that looks like a toothpick in his hand because he's giant. And then you've got Harley Quinn, which same thing, doesn't really use a ton of guns. It's mostly bats and hammers and explosives. Like, everything just seemed out of place. Nothing really made sense.
But does Captain Boomerang throw his boomerang, or does he use a gun?
He uses a gun, and the only time he uses his boomerang, is for traversal. And it's it's dumb. Yeah. It's honestly, like, the story in that game was actually quite interesting. Which is the unfortunate part, because it's like, if you could just even pull up YouTube and just watch the story, it does continue the Arkham universe.
I wish this wasn't even in it. I wish that this game wasn't it.
Hey, I get it. I was just as disappointed. But, like, introducing Brainiac and all this other stuff was actually quite cool. But they did it in such an ass backwards way.
I refuse to even acknowledge this as an Arkham series game.
Yeah.
So to bring it back to our final round here after our full on bullshittery, do we have any rapid fire ones we just want to mention but not talk about?
What was that racing game we played at the very beginning of the PS5? That was like, it wasn't really a racing game. It was like a battle racers thing. What the fuck was that game called?
Like Battle Dome game?
Shit. Yeah, it was free on PS Plus when it came out.
Yes.
What was that called?
Destruction something.
Destruction All-Stars.
Yes.
Destruction All-Stars.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah, that was another one.
That had such a chance of being like a vigilante, but they were like, here's one mode, and it's like very repetitive.
And here's like, you have to play 700 times to unlock this skin for this car. Like,
nope.
That's another one of those games where if they just turned it into like a Mario Kart, but with like weapons and twisted metal type stuff,
R-rated stuff.
Yeah.
That would have done well.
Yeah. Overwatch 2. Don't need to say more there. It's wash.
Have we not shit on those types of games enough?
Yeah.
Overwatch would have been better if they did the Fortnite thing and just kept it as Overwatch and just did seasons. Calling it a second game was absolutely useless.
And I made people buy more skins though, because they got rid of all the skins that you had.
Is this Call of Duty?
Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
It makes me sad. Bring back. We will never get in this society.
No,
we will never ever again. Doesn't matter. We're never again getting a Duke Nukem game with some of the shit he said in those games. Like,
yeah, we're past that generation.
Like in 2011, fumbled the bag, but like now, Duke Nukem could not be made.
Not a chance.
Yeah. No, not at all. Mighty Number 9. I don't know if anybody remembers.
I saw that and I remembered it. It was like the kind of a Mega Man replacement side scroller, wasn't it? Like that was kind of what they were going for.
They wanted it to be.
The creator of Mega Man left Capcom and decided to make his own version. It fucking sucked, and it makes me angry.
Clearly, he didn't learn anything.
It hurts my soul. I was so excited for it when it was announced, and I played it for maybe 15 minutes, and I deleted it. It was so bad.
Ooh, I've got two sides of a coin here. We've got one that fixed itself, No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a redemption.
Absolutely awful. Cyberpunk comeback story.
Yep.
100%.
Absolute redemption.
Same situation.
I think that's one we kind of all need to get on and just have shenanigans because it might be a fun game to play together.
I'd love to do that. Yeah.
And the opposite one of that hasn't really fixed itself. And, you know, when we get 18 remakes in the future, because it's Starfield, it suffered the exact same things. It's like they learned nothing from that game. They're like, let's make a bunch of planets with nothing on them. And people love it.
Woo!
Loading screens.
It's almost like Bethesda makes shitty games. Weird. I will fucking die on that hill. I don't care.
Man.
Jordan is a Bethesda hater.
Fallout 76 and Starfield both sucked at launch. And they're mildly better now. But still not great games.
Bethesda's just hanging on to the Skyrim
remake train.
Yeah.
PS5 Pro remake.
Yeah, Skyrim again.
Oh, you're awake.
All right, now my last one, and I hope you guys remember this because boy, did this hit the headlines for a while.
Okay, it's gonna be the very last one. Otherwise, we'll be here all night talking bullshit.
The day before, it was that zombie open world / MMO last year.
What?
Yes,
it was funded on Kickstarter. It looked like The Division. Yes,
but all they did was they took a bunch of pre-made assets from
Unreal Engine 5,
Unreal Engine, and just stuck them on a map. And it was the most like we talked about. This is why you don't pre-buy stuff. Like this was the most like overhyped and like, you know, promised game. And it was like a Ponzi scheme of a game. Like they just wanted people to pre-buy it. And then it just turned out to be
I forgot about that.
I think it was one of the few games that IGN actually gave like a 1 out of 10 when it launched.
Aside from Gollum and Kong or whatever.
Yeah. Like it was so bad and so broken at launch. And the wild thing is the developer was essentially bullied into coming out and saying, okay, we'll do refunds. We'll give you your money back. So sorry that it didn't work out. And then like 6 months later, after nothing, the creator came back out again and was like, hey, we are fundraising for our next project. If you want to help support us, like, and he acted like nothing had happened. He boy. Yeah, I would stay so far away from that guy.
Yeah, that's a case where it's like, okay, maybe I should go get a job just working at a company where my name like isn't on the headline. Just work on some skills, like just get a paycheck.
Jesus.
Not everybody's meant to be the head coach, you know?
Yeah.
No.
I forgot. That's one too. I completely forgot about that game because it just,
oh my God,
it just evaporated, right? It was just like, here's the thing. And like, no.
Yeah. It was one of those things where like the Division meets zombies. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. People were pretty hyped about it.
Yeah.
Nope. All right. So, again, we could be here all night if we just wax poetic about all the games that failed because there's so many.
Back in my day, games came out fully finished.
Oh, unless you're like E.T. from Atari, or just like the original, like,
Test
oh my God, this is garbage.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that game companies are learning. I mean, stands to reason that they're probably not. But thanks for sitting through this just hour-long gripe session with us. It was a great time. We hope you had a great time.
I think we solved the problem. I think we basically figured it out.
Yeah,
like, no more boardrooms, no more live service, no more microtransactions. Like, problem solved. You're welcome, gaming developers. You're welcome.
Management. Get rid of the bourgeoisie.
Rise up. Seize the means of production.
We will have a revolution.
Trevor, can we splice in Dwight Schrute giving his acceptance speech?
Yeah.
Oh, once again, folks, thanks. Don't forget to tune into Discord, Instagram, wherever you get your podcasty things. I think that was good enough.
Good enough.
Yeah,
good enough.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more content. We also invite you to write an email or join us on Discord to talk about anything from our episodes or something else you would like to discuss in the future. Please subscribe to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to your podcasts. And remember, we might not be great, but we are good enough.